there isn't any straight road to success. Everyone has their own journey. Because there are other ways people have been successful. But you really got to look inside deep before you embark on the journey. What are your strengths? What is your financial muscle? What can you actually afford? What is your brand proposition? That is the key.
They say it's lonely at the top. They're right. But you don't have to scale your company alone. Welcome to the Scaling CEO. I'm Glenn Gao, the CEO Success Coach. On this podcast, I sit down with top performing CEOs to uncover the hidden patterns and frameworks behind their success so you can avoid common pitfalls and accelerate your company's growth. Now, on to the show. Today, we have a CEO who lives and breathes brand building and scaling in the hyper-competitive consumer goods world. Reza Mirza is the CEO of Icelandic Glacial, the super premium water brand. But he wasn't born in the C-suite. He earned his stripes at giants like Colgate-Palmolive and Nestle Waters, learning the art of brand marketing from the inside out. He then took the helm at Activate Drinks, driving double-digit growth before taking on his current role. For over a decade at Icelandic Glacial, he's done what so many struggle to do: take a niche premium product and catapult it into a global powerhouse, now in over 54,000 stores in the US alone. His profile says he's known for turning around companies and providing decisive leadership. And his track record proves it's not okay, or it's not just talk. So we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of how he did it. Get ready for a no-nonsense conversation about what it really takes to scale. Reza, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate the opportunity to speak about the Icelandic story.
Wonderful. Well, let's dive right in. So you've seen scale from the inside of giants and then had to build it yourself at Icelandic Glacial. Looking back to day one at Icelandic, what's the one scaling insight that would have saved you and your team months of pain and struggle?
Yeah, and that's a great question. But the one thing which I think has really helped us is the even when we were a small brand and we were just starting off, we always kept one eye on growth, but one eye on EBITDA. So we
Ah,
never um, just grew and lose money on every case
mm-hmm.
sold, because that's not business, and that will hamper you from growing even further because you will never get to profitability. So all our investments and every account we have done deal, there's some accounts we have just done it at a break even, but we don't lose money on every
Right.
case sold. So that enables us uh, to actually aim that really enables us to scale up over a period of time, and the investments are made into actual marketing, people, sales, etc.
Right. And it strikes me in that environment where you're watching EBITDA very closely, you have to be much more intentional about your investments.
Absolutely. It's our playbook has been the traditional beverage playbook has been go broad, go fast, hire a whole bunch of people, etc. We
Right.
were our founders, Jan and Christian Olofsson, is when we together we made a decision is that we are going to avoid that. We are going to grow deep versus grow broad.
Uh-huh.
And that is something now you can argue there are people who have been successful where they've grown broad really fast. They hired 100 people, they grew very fast, and they scaled up and have been successful with excellent exits. We didn't have that luxury. So for that, our strategy has been go deep, make an impact, and go from market by market. It is a slower growth rate, but as it has been shown, it has been sustainable.
Sustainable. Okay, that's really critical,
Yeah.
especially in this world where it's very easy to change brands. I can say, well, I drank that yesterday, but I'm just going to try something new
Yeah.
next time. So what we need to do is create a connection with the consumer, and that's probably part of what you're talking about when you go deep.
Exactly. And it's also about, there isn't any straight road to success. Everyone has their own journey.
That's right.
Everyone has, I would never it's not appropriate for me to say that, hey, our way is the best, was because there are other ways people have been successful. But you really got to look inside deep before you embark on the journey. What are your strengths? What is your financial muscle? What can you actually afford? What is your brand proposition? That is the key. Is like, for example, um, Iceland, we come from an amazing source, which is Iceland. It's one of the
Right.
most pristine ecosystems in the world.
Right.
Um, we have we have so many amazing properties. When Jan and Christian started the company, they started it as a fully eco-friendly, sustainable company in 2005, even before sustainability became a buzzword.
Ah,
And our spring has so much of stuff to talk about. We are naturally alkaline. We were the world's first carbon neutral company. We use, but at the end of the day, we zoned it down to the consumer. What actually resonates with the consumer?
right.
And
Right.
I have zero market research dollars. I had zero market research dollars. So my source of consumer insights to fine tune the brand proposition was Amazon reviews. What are people talking on at that time? Twitter. What is the consumer here? What the consumer is saying,
Right.
and the two things which we consistently heard: we love the taste, because the water is so pure,
Yep.
and we love the packaging. So,
Ah,
so
okay.
then we refined our brand proposition is that we will focus on the purity, the taste, and Iceland is the reason to believe. And that has really resonated with our consumers. We have 80% repeat online. We just focus on the purest tasting water on earth is our tagline now. Because if you try to tell the consumer so many things, oh, we are naturally alkaline, we are this, we are that,
Right. Right.
you are losing the consumer's attention in the world we live in. They have such short attention span. You got to
Right.
hang your hat on one thing, and that's what we did. But everything we also did is the brand values were all about authenticity. We don't go for the crazy shock value. We really are creating a lifestyle brand built on authenticity.
I love that. And this to me is part of going deep. It's deeply understanding what consumers are looking for, what's important to them, and how do we communicate that in a very simple way and sticking to that over and over again. So this sounds like one of the secrets of your success. I have a question for you now. Um, so what let's imagine we're talking to a CEO who's struggling right now and their growth is flat and their team is frustrated and they're burning cash. You're known for building best in class teams. So, what is your first, most direct piece of advice to the CEO to get things moving again? That CEO who's struggling right now.
Number one is you hit the nail on the head. It all starts with your team. um, and you got to look in deep and say, do you have the right team for that moment in time?
Right,
Like for example, you may need a team with a certain skill sets from A to B, but then that team you may have to adapt to take it from B to C. So just because a team took you from A to B, that doesn't mean they're going to take you from A to B to C to D. So
no,
that's
in fact, no, that's right. In fact, they usually aren't the right team to take you to the next
So you
level, and that's
constantly have to evolve. And one of the things at Icelandic I'm very proud of is that we are building a world-class team, and I've never, even during COVID, we believe in our core is we look after our team members. Even during COVID, the board and I, we made a decision that we are not going to do layoffs. We're not going to cut back.
Ah,
And that is what is our promise to our team. And the team's promise to us is that, hey, we are here to grow this business. So the very first thing I will give advice to the CEO is, number one is, look into your team. Do you have the right team to take you from where do they have the skill sets?
right.
Because it is emotional. You work with people and it's hard, but you have to make hard choices. And that's where the guy might be your best friend, but if he can't take you over there, you got to have those conversations.
I
Uh,
I'm so glad you shared that because I see this over and over again where a company is scaling and the CEO is faced with a quandary about somebody who was one of the first employees and they were excellent at that time, but now the company needs a different skill set and so it's an emotional. You're right. It's an emotional issue about how do I ask this person to go work somewhere else because
uh,
there's going to be a better place for them because I need to focus on my shareholders and my stakeholders and the value I can bring to the company and maybe that person just isn't the right one anymore. Those are difficult conversations,
it's a
but
very difficult. I have been there. It takes a lot out of you.
yeah.
But you got to start with the team. Then number two is eliminate the frills. When when I started at Icelandic, we had this hole in the wall office in Culver City at Main Street, which was between a restaurant and a massage parlor. It was literally a hole in
I
the
hope you have
wall.
a picture of that somewhere.
Yeah, and then as the company grew, then we went into a bigger office, and then in 2003 when we got a major investment in, and one of the shareholders said, "We can't come to this office. It's really embarrassing." So then we went to what I call a really nice looking office. But if you are burning money, you got to l- get rid of all the frills. Every dollar you have needs to go into the business, but going into the business, you got to ask yourself, is it generating revenue? Because my everyone tells me, oh, this is a good brand building exercise. But
Right.
my point is, brand awareness does not pay the electricity bills. So again, at the stage that you are in, if your growth is flat, you got to ask, is your category growing? Number one. And if you're flat, that means you're declining.
Right.
So that is one scenario. The second scenario is you are flat because the category is down. But then are you what's your scaling on your market share? Is that
Mhm.
if you are number five and your biggest competitor is 10 times bigger, then you should not be declining because you should be eating up their market share and ask yourself, why not? you
That's
know
right. That's
and
right.
the third thing is is to create your own playbook, because uh, if you play on the other person's playbook and you don't have the financial muscle, you are going to fail.
Yeah.
So you got to really look at. I remember when everyone told me, it's like, oh my God, you got to spend money in brand awareness. I said, I agree. I'm a brand marketer. My background is in marketing. I love building brands. But
Right.
first, build your distribution network, first, build out availability, and then overlay on marketing. Because the worst thing you can do is create brand awareness. That's in my humble opinion. But the product is not available. Then you have, oh, we love your brand, but we can't find it. Then you will never be profitable. Now,
That's right.
so the question you got to ask yourself is, and I've been there. I've been there when they were like, oh, let's throw money in advertising. We have amazing campaigns, and the consumer will come. But guess what? There's a cycle. The category reviews with the retailers are once a year. So what's the point of burning through marketing when you are not even in front of the buyer?
Right.
So that is what I would highly recommend to any CEO is First, look at what is your financial strength? Where are you aligned with the board on your strategy? Where number one, always start with your team. You got to build, you are as good as your team. Skip the frills. It's nice to say, oh, you know what? I love stay in nice hotel. Guess what? It doesn't work at this stage in your company, you know. Uh,
Right.
and the third part is be smart in your investments. If you are spending money in a brand building, ensure it ties back to generating sales.
Fantastic. Fantastic. That leaves us, and thank you for sharing that wisdom with us. That leaves us with one last time for one last topic. One of my favorite topics is AI. So let's look forward. And as AI gets more powerful, it's going to change the playbook for everything. For a CPG brand, where do you believe AI will create the most significant leverage in scaling? Is it in fine tuning the supply chain, uncovering consumer insights, or somewhere else entirely?
I think the biggest impact for a CPG brand is going to be in supply chain. How do you make what's the right inventory um, amount? What is how do you which is what we are having these discussions, how do you leverage AI to improve your forecasting? For example, we are our factory is in Iceland. We are bottled at the source, but it takes a long time. There are long lead times from raw materials coming from all over Europe into Iceland. You have to store those. All that is cost in every way of the supply chain. So how do you leverage AI to improve our forecasting? How do you leverage AI to ensure what's the optimal raw materials that you need to keep on site in based on the sales forecast? As
Right.
you know, the sales forecast, every sales guy in my career is very optimistic on the sales forecast. And then there are
Sure.
20 reasons why you didn't hit it, you know? So how do you use AI to leverage that? That's where I see the biggest use of AI is in CPG is to optimize supply chain.
And I want to add something. Maybe you don't consider this supply chain, or maybe you do, but at the end of the supply chain, we have the shelves,
Yeah,
and we have to optimize there as well. Do we not? Do we have
absolutely.
to? Yeah.
Absolutely, because as a CPG brand, if I'm a category manager, I would use AI to optimize the shelf. If I'm on the retailer side, this is something which we keep on having these conversations with our retail partners. Give us a fair share. Look at the numbers and give us a fair share of on the shelf. But if I'm a category manager, I would like to, and I'm seeing some retailers starting to do it, to say, AI, here are all the brands, here are all the sales by SKU. How do you optimize who gets what versus
Right.
it would take out the I like you, I'll give you an extra SKU. That's where I see this is actually heading. And then I was looking, I've been sitting on presentations with with some AI driven companies who have people who walk the shelves, take photographs, and they upload it, and the AI will tell you in real time is this is heading for out of stock, this should be there. So you get real time data to your
Yeah.
salespeople on preventing out of stock. Because that's the other issue, the problem that AI is going to be used to solve, because it's an opportunity cost.
Exactly. And imagine you can get to a place where your AI is better than your competitor's AI as it relates to inventory on the shelf.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm running that retail location, I have a much closer relationship with you because I trust that you're never going to let me stock out. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Reza, it's been a pleasure. I'm really impressed with what you've been able to accomplish, and you know so much more about this subject that I hope everybody had a chance to learn something new today. Um, just where can people reach you if they want to reach out to you?
I can be reached on my email, raza.mirza@icelandicglacial.com, or even go to the Icelandic website. We have a contact us. I look at everything. It comes to my email. So again, I like to be in contact with my consumers. I like to hear what they say directly, and I assure you, you will get a response.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's a wrap for today's episode of The Scaling CEO. If you found this valuable, be sure to like, subscribe, and share with a fellow CEO who could benefit. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please give us a quick rating as it really helps more people find the show. I'm Glenn Gow, the CEO Success Coach. See you next time for more proven strategies to grow your business and leadership.